Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 178. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Absolutely Anything. So what did I think of Absolutely Anything? Well, I liked it a lot. It was really funny. For some reason, a lot of people hated it. It got, 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, even for a British film, that is just, ouch. I really didn't have any problems with the comedy, really. A lot of people were saying that it's just a really bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a great movie. It's just, I can see a lot of direction problems with it. Definitely a lot. I mean, I don't normally think about that a lot. I watch a movie and I really enjoy it. I don't really, consider directing as a problem. Sometimes people can criticize a movie for its direction, but for me, it's pretty rare that I really criticize a movie because of direction. And this one was one of them. It just doesn't happen very often. There's a lot of movies where I don't really think about direction that much, but this time I really thought about it and I really noticed some things that were just was that the directing or whatever? But one of the cool things about this movie was that it featured the last of the living Monty Python actors. All the members of that troupe, basically, which means John Cleese, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, Eric Idle. Terry Jones actually makes a cameo as a truck driver, basically. Yeah, it was really cool because they played these aliens, these council of intergalactic beings or whatever like that. Something like that. It was fun to hear them because I grew up watching Monty Python. I haven't seen every episode, but I've seen quite a few episodes, and I love Monty Python. It's probably one of the best British comedy series ever. It's just amazing. I love Monty Python. That whole series is amazing. And this movie had all of them, because it is a British movie. I mean, there's one American. I'll get to that later. But it was incredible to have that cast back for this movie. I don't know why this particular movie, but they just wanted to do it, I guess. So basically, the premise of this movie is that these beings, they are looking at Earth, they're testing Earth, and they said, okay, we're gonna give a human, an Earthling, basically, the power to do absolutely anything for 10 days, and so they have to choose which Earthling to give. And one of the first things that happens is a list of people they can give the power to. And all these celebrities, and it's just the funniest thing. It ends in Sarah Palin, and then it flips to Sam Pegg's character, Neil Clark. He's the one who gets the power. It's really silly how it's all these celebrities like Justin Bieber, people like that. It's really, but yeah, they give him power to anything. Basically, just wave his hand, and anything he wants to happen happens. It's awesome. It's fantastic. But one of the things that I had problems with was the script. It wasn't the worst script of a movie. I mean, I don't really care about the script that much. I really have to, lately I've been really having to pay attention about, what lines sound like they are a good thing to say and what aren't. Sometimes it could be in terms of the story, a line can be okay, that why would they say that? That doesn't make sense, kind of thing. And one of the first things that I noticed about the script being having issues, not perfect, not amazing, just it has a couple of issues with it. They could have done it better. Is Rosie, Catherine, who is the love interest's best friend, she automatically assumes that Neil is gay. What? Why? I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. But that's what happens, and it's that basically starts the idea of oh, well, because they automatically assume he's gay, that the script is suddenly not well done. It's not really a good script all that much. I think the script had a lot of issues. They could have done it better. They could have created better things to say than just automatically assume that. I don't know. Sometimes I really can't tell about scripting, but apparently script matters with a movie. You gotta have a good script because otherwise it's just terrible. Apparently some people really bother by bad scripts, depending on what the script is. I don't know what proves to be a bad script and a good script. I don't know. I think it's what you say in the script, if it makes sense to the story to say it. I don't know exactly. But I think the thing, the power that Neil has is a lot of the time it backfires. A lot of the time he says something and it doesn't go exactly the way that he plans it to go. And for example, he gets asked by Ray's best friend, what would he do if he could do anything? And he's like, I would have alien invasion to destroy 10 states. But why would you want to do that? Like, why would you want to destroy your own classroom? I mean, I think I can understand why he would want to get rid of the classroom and not have to teach in it because of the kids in there. They're like they're like rough housing and not playing them by the rules, not being a nice class. He's just kind of sick of it, and he can't really calm them down or whatever like that. He's almost afraid he can't control the classroom because it's crazy, and obviously he'll be able to fix that later. But like, my question is why? Why would he want that to happen? Why would he want alien spaceships to destroy Tennessee? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really make any sense. I really didn't understand it. It was like, okay, out of all the things you could have done, you made alien spaceships destroy Tennessee, your own classroom. It's weird. I don't know what that was about, but it was weird. Now, one thing that was really interesting in particular was actually a reference, and that was on Book News, which is basically the show that Catherine's boss does. And it's basically kind of like doing the news or whatever like that. Like the cameras and stuff like that. You have a prompter you're supposed to read off of it and all that stuff. And so her boss sits down with an author who has just released a book, and it's interesting because in the dream sequence at the start of the movie, Neil wins an award for his book called the name of the book in this scene is actually called What You See With Your Eyes Open, but in the dream sequence it's actually what do you see with your eyes closed? So it's kind of like a reference to Neil's book in the dream, which is, I don't know, I think that's like maybe like a reference, like, oh yeah, Neil had a book like that, it was called With Your Eyes Closed. Like, it's very interesting how that's done. I think it's meant to be like an Easter egg from the beginning of the film. It's interesting. Now, the main villain of the story is actually Grant, who is basically the only American in the film, and he's basically a villain because he's in obsession with Catherine, who is Neil's crush, and he basically worships her. Like he basically stalks her. Like he won't take no for an answer. He won't give up on her, and it's kind of bad in a way. Like he doesn't get that she doesn't like him, and he keeps pursuing her, which is like, it's kind of in a way makes him like a Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, where he's like constantly pursuing her, trying to make her his wife, and it doesn't really work that well because she doesn't like him. So it's like, it's crazy because later he actually shows how evil he actually is by capturing Neil after discovering his powers and then making him do all these horrible things, basically abusing his power, basically using Neil's powers for his own good by doing evil things, by making everything horrible happen, and in the end making Catherine fall in love with Grant. It's horrible stuff, but that's kind of his purpose as a guy. He's not very good, and he's obviously he's meant to be an asshole, basically. He's just like a stalker, pursuer. He doesn't really give up. So that's what made him a very interesting villain. He's not a good guy. He's really annoying, and he's not meant to be a person you want to keep seeing. So now, I mentioned how a lot of the time the power doesn't go the way Neil wants it to. And one of the things that he does is he wants to have a really great body, but ends up becoming the body of a naked woman. Like, breasts and all. It's just weird. I mean, obviously, it's also like, it looks like his head is superimposed on a female body. It's just weird. But yeah, I don't think it was actually the direction of this. I think it was just the power not understanding what he meant, because he probably should have like enunciated, oh yeah, a great man, not so much a great body, but a great body of a man, that kind of thing. And so that completely backfires, because a lot of the time he makes something happen that he wants to, and it doesn't go the way he wants it, because I guess he's not specific enough or something like that. He doesn't really put much detail into his wish. Like, it's that crazy. But that's basically the cons of the power. Another example of that is when he is trying to get to Catherine after she suddenly thinks he's gay because of Dennis the dog. He tries to get on the bus. He gets on the bus, quite literally on the bus. And I think the power takes his request a little bit more literally. He gets on the bus, and then he gets literally inside the bus, like in the engines of the bus. And then, yeah, that's the thing. So I think the power has its limitations where it has cons. I mean, a lot of pros, it can do whatever he wants, but oftentimes it doesn't know. Oftentimes it feels like the power has mind of its own, because the power is being taken from the intergalactic race of super beings, whatever like that, and it always doesn't go the way he wants it to. So that's kind of the downside of his power, is he never knows what it can actually do. Like, he never knows what the power could do that isn't all that great. So that's the thing. Now, this movie was actually the final film of Robin Williams, and Robin Williams is honestly one of my favorite actors of many because he was so iconic as the genie from the original Aladdin movie, and in this movie, in his last role, he plays Dennis the dog, and he is just so amazingly, and he is just so funny. Just like his personality is so funny. He's meant to just kind of be all excited and everything, and say all the wrong things, and it's just like he's so good at this role. He's so good, and it said that this was his final film role, but even then, it was fantastic, and just hearing his voice is so good because I love his voice, and it's just it's sad, but I think one of the highlights is probably definitely Robin Williams. He was fantastic. Now, before I talk about the bad direction, but there were plenty of funny moments because this is a comedy film. There were a lot of funny moments, a lot of moments that I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious. So the first thing that Neil does, of many, is because he accidentally destroys 10C, and so he asks for everyone to be back from the dead. He isn't specific enough, so basically the power thinks that he wants everyone who ever died to come back to life. Basically zombies, essentially, which is terrifying, but yeah. So that happens, they all come back from the dead, and obviously he didn't mean that, he actually meant people from his classroom 10C. It's like, okay. What makes it really funny is that the dead woman who rises, she's like, oh my god, I'm alive again! It's like, really? It's fantastic. His classroom 10C is always like rowdy. The kids are always like messing around and not behaving. And he wants his classroom to be a model class. Like everyone's, well behaved, kind and considerate, and, eager to learn all that stuff. And he walks in, and they're all just like looking at their books, and he's like, good morning class, like, good morning, Mr. Clark. And he's like, read the whole chapter. And one of the students is like, are you serious, the whole chapter? And he's like, yes. And she's like, so exciting. And then one of the other students is like, we get to read the whole chapter. It's just like, because they have the books, it's like, you read the whole chapter, it's like, oh my god, he's letting us read the whole chapter. Just like, I love that line. It's probably the best line in the whole film. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of funny moments, but that's probably one of the highlights. I just love that. It's like, because they're so excited about a book. It's like, really? They're excited about doing homework or doing schoolwork. It's like, really? But also, it kind of makes Neil not the best teacher because, like, he doesn't seem to have a good lesson plan. Like, he doesn't know how to teach class properly. He's like, yeah, today's lesson, just read the book. I'm like, okay. Not a very good lesson plan, but okay. Now, another really funny moment is when Neil asks his headmaster to be nice to him for a change. And it works, obviously. And later he's like, yes! he's successful. He reacts to he's like, yes! It's just like, because he's like, that's never happened before. So I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. I just love it. It's like, it's so good. And then when Neil asks for a big dick because he doesn't know what he wants, he's like, I can do anything. And he's like, he asks for a big dick. It's like, well, why would he want a big dick? And then he asks for the dick to be a bit smaller because he doesn't want quite as big. And then it apparently turns black in my eye because he's like, can I have it in white? He's like, so it was black before? I don't know. It's weird, but that was just like, what the hell? And then also he becomes Albert Einstein. Like, what the hell? That was great. Now, Neil's best friend Ray really likes Dorothy Pringle. She's this beautiful teacher who he has a big crush on, and she doesn't like him that way, unfortunately. And so he would like her to worship him, although I think he probably would have meant her to fall in love with him, just because worship doesn't really work out in the end. So Neil makes that happen. He's like, okay, let's Dorothy Pringle worship Ray, and it happens, but it ends up becoming like a religion. It's like, maybe Ray's request should have been to fall in love with him. That's basically what I would have meant. So because in the end, does Miss Pringle only worship him, but also get followers and make it like a religion? And it's just like, what the hell? And then later on, Ray hides in Neil's apartment in one of his closets or whatever like that, and it's like, why would he be hiding in Neil's apartment? I mean, other than trying to escape his worshippers who apparently think that he died because he became a sausage. It's like, it's weird. Okay, fine. Doesn't really make any sense. Speaking of the sausage thing, Neil does turn right into a sausage Apparently, because Neil turned Ray into a sausage, to obviously escape his worshippers. Apparently, the shop that Neil was in later, the shopkeeper thought that the sausage was actually a part of the shop, and the shopkeeper suddenly thinks that Neil's stealing it. And so she makes him pay for it, which is basically making him pay for Ray. It's like, really? It's so weird. I wonder if Ray actually realized what he was doing. Like, oh, you're paying for me. Okay, thanks, man. It's like, okay. And the last funny moment of this was the fact that Grant makes fun of Neil's accent by repeating what he said and actually, correcting his name in American English, because it's supposed to be Grant, not Grant, because Grant is how you'd say it in British English, but obviously in American English it's Grant. And then later, he kept making fun of his accent because, like, he's so English or whatever like that. It's like, yeah, and basically, because obviously Grant's an asshole. It's like, it was meant to be like that. Yeah, stop calling me Grant. It's Grant. It's like, okay. But that's basically all I can say about the funny moments. There was a lot. There was a lot I couldn't count really, but honor to the bad directing. Oh my god, there was a lot of it. This movie isn't horrible, but there were things that I did have problems with, which is why I'm not going to give it a perfect score at the end of this review. It just wasn't a perfect movie. But one of the first things that I noticed had bad directing was when Neil gets a single glass for his whiskey to make him snap out of it, thinking he actually has powers, and like he goes to his cupboard, he pushes all the other glasses out of his way, and they obviously end up breaking. It's like, all that for a glass? Seriously, you could have just taken the first glass you saw in that cupboard. It's like, seriously, I think that might have been bad directing. I think that he just he wasn't thinking about that, and then the director, Terry Jones, he's actually one of the Monty Python troupe. He had him do that. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you remove all the glasses? Like, you end up breaking it. It's like, you must be crazy. I think it was probably just bad directing. And then also, when Neil asks for his whiskey to exchange itself under the bottle, what he should have done is just ask for it to refill itself with fresh whiskey. That would have been a lot better idea, because obviously the whiskey bottle tries to go to the shop to exchange itself, which is obviously closed by then. So it was like crazy. But one of the things after that is like, I think that might have been also bad directing, or might have been just the power getting it wrong, was when Neil is being apprehended by the police after they think that he actually broke into the whiskey shop when he really didn't, and he disappears, goes back to his house. Apparently, either the power thought that's what he wanted by having dinner with Dennis at home, or the directing thought that they should have Neil eats dog food from a Neil bowl. It's like, why would they do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't really understand that. I mean, maybe it was really just bad directing. I didn't really understand that. They're just like, what the hell? Another bad direction, at least I think, was when Neil asked me to be president of the United States, which is a huge error because, first of all, this movie takes place, again, in England, not the U.S., so he should have actually asked to be the Prime Minister, because that is basically the head of the government in the UK. So I don't know what that was about. Like, why did... Maybe the director thought that was a good idea, but it's like, you wouldn't ask to be president of the United States. I mean, basically the Prime Minister is like the right-hand person to the Queen, who's basically basically the president. I mean, he's basically like the British version of the president. Not exactly, but same kind of idea, same kind of thing. It's hard to explain. I'm not British, I wouldn't know, but basically it's some kind of idea. I mean, there are differences, but that's basically it. And then to top that off, Americans representing, I think, probably his bodyguards, they capture him and trying to get him away from some, I guess, shooters or whatever like that. They drive him away. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he have to be president in the first place? Like, he really should have been prime minister. Like, he's not in America. He's in England. That was I mean, it was an interesting concept to explore. Like, oh, well, I want to be president, but you wouldn't be president if you were in the UK. You would be president if you were in the US. Wrong country. So I think that was a direction error. Now, at the very end of the film, after Neil basically has his life ruined because everyone hates him, basically, except obviously Dennis, he wants one last little thing he wants to do. So he tries to make the world a better place by getting rid of hunger, homelessness, global warming, war. That all really backfires. Food isn't really much of a problem because, apparently people who have way too much food, they end up becoming fat and overweight because they have too much of it. And then homelessness, apparently that's taken care of with the power by making gated communities where they normally wouldn't be gated community, like in the Sahara Desert. And then and then war, apparently, that backfired completely because now there are countries that normally wouldn't start a war, but put another country start a war. It doesn't make any sense. And global warming, it basically happens. It makes it worse. It speeds up. It's just like, I think that ended up becoming like worse and everything like that. Like, if you wanted to stop war, why would war happen anyway? Like, because Neil asked for no more war, but yet war happens anyway. It doesn't make any sense. Same thing with global warming. Like, what would you, if you wish for no more global warming, reverse global warming, wouldn't that stop global warming instead of speed it up or whatever? Which is basically what happens in the film. It's just like, ugh. But yeah, that's basically all I can say about the bad directing. That's pretty much all I can say. I mean, the movie isn't perfect, but at the same time, it's not horrible. It's really funny. It's hilarious. It's really fun. Just the concept of everything, you know, the acting, the actors, everything like that is fantastic. I mean, it is rated R, so just be warned that there's gonna be like, you know, there's gonna be a lot of language and sexual references, all that stuff. It's not for kids for sure, but it's still really funny. It's a very funny adult film. It's like one American, and again, Grant is the only American in the film. He's also the only American actor in the film. Not only just the only American, but also the only American actor. So, because it's an entirely British film, but there's like one actor who's American. It's just very interesting to think about that. That's basically all I can say about absolutely anything. It's a really funny movie. Honestly, I really did enjoy it a lot. Like, I think the only problems I really had with it were the bad direction. The directing could have been better. I don't know what Terry Jones was thinking, but like a lot of the things they pointed out that had bad directing, I don't know why it happened. It's probably why it's not a perfect movie, but at the same time, the pros were just a comedy of it all. All the moments I mentioned that were really funny, all the things that happens that he wishes for, it's just like really crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna give it I think because of the directing wasn't very good, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I was thinking 8, but that's still a bit high, so probably 7 out of 10. Again, not a perfect movie, but still not horrible. It's just really fun and really funny, and just overall really joy to watch, especially if you like British actors like Simon Pegg. He's amazing. He plays Scotty in the Star Trek movies, or the trilogy they made. And also Kate Beckinsale's in it, who I thought she was American. I will be honest. I don't think I've ever seen her or anything, but like I've always just thought she was American automatically. I don't know why. I just thought I just automatically assumed that. But yeah, and obviously Robin Williams is amazing. He really brings a lot of personality and really a lot of charm and humor to Dennis the Dog, because obviously Neil makes Dennis talk, so that's great. And yeah, it makes also Dennis makes Neil's life a little more challenging. But that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and of the series that I do as well as other great content. Also, make sure to click that bell to enable alerts to listen to anyone uploads. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Right? Soon.